The morning of my wedding, I stood alone in the bridal suite at the Peninsula Beverly Hills, adjusting the delicate tulle of my gown while the ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and gardenias through the open window. My reflection stared back at me in the full-length mirror, flawless makeup, perfectly styled dark waves pinned with pearl clips. The kind of poised elegance I'd spent years perfecting to meet impossible standards. Then my mother leaned in close. Her signature Chanel No. 5 mixing with the floral notes, and whispered words that shattered everything. You were just practice.
Claire.
Ava is the one I actually wanted. She kissed my cheek lightly, careful not to smudge anything, grabbed her Hermes clutch, and walked out without another glance. Through the window, I watched her slide into the waiting black Tesla, my father already in the passenger seat scrolling his phone, not once looking up at the hotel where his oldest daughter was supposed to say her vows in less than an hour. The car pulled away smoothly, heading south toward the private terminal at Van Nuys Airport. I stood frozen. The weight of that Vera Wang gown, worth more than many people's annual salary, suddenly feeling like chains. The makeup artist had excused herself moments earlier, sensing the shift in the air like a storm rolling in. I'd always known my family prioritized image above all else, but this betrayal cut deeper than any comparison or slight from the past. Our family business, Vanguard Luxe, was a high-end sustainable fashion empire built on my grandmother's original boutique in Los Angeles. From the outside, we were California royalty, elegant charity galas, features in Vogue, a sprawling estate in Pacific Palisades with manicured gardens and a temperature-controlled wine cellar where deals were sealed over aged Bordeaux. But inside, the hierarchy was clear. I was the reliable one, the one who fixed problems quietly. Ava, my half-sister, was the golden child, born from my father's brief affair with a runway model when I was 10. After the model passed away from an overdose 2 years later, my mother strategically adopted Ava, turning humiliation into a redemption narrative for the press. Every family needs a beautiful comeback story, she'd say while cradling toddler Ava, whose striking green eyes and camera-ready features made her an instant favorite. At 34, I'd graduated summa cum laude from Wharton, saved the company from bankruptcy 3 separate times through razor-sharp supply chain negotiations and crisis management. Yet, I remained the invisible backbone. Ava, at 27, launched trendy capsule collections and influencer partnerships that generated buzz, but often required my cleanup. Today was supposed to be different, my day with Nathan Reed, the grounded architect who saw me beyond the gloss. But as I watched that Tesla disappear down the coastal highway at exactly 9:45 a.m., something tectonic shifted inside me. I picked up my phone with steady hands despite the earthquake in my chest and texted Nathan, "We need to talk about the prenup clause regarding my Vanguard shares before the ceremony." Then I turned back to the mirror, really seeing myself for the first time, not the daughter chasing approval, but Claire Langford, the woman who had rebuilt this empire brick by brick while others posed for photos. Growing up in Pacific Palisades meant living in a carefully curated museum of perfection. Our 9,000-square-foot estate hosted brunches where my mother networked with celebrities, while I buried myself in quarterly reports by the infinity pool. Ava's arrival changed everything. At 13, while I read economics textbooks, she practiced poses for staged big sister moments orchestrated by our social media manager. She attended an elite arts academy filled with celebrity kids. I excelled at a rigorous prep school, delivering a valedictorian speech thanking my teachers rather than family, a slight my mother never forgave. "You deliberately embarrassed us," she hissed afterward. Ava's Instagram verification came early, with followers fawning over her effortless charm. I tracked supply chain inefficiencies in spreadsheets no one wanted to see. Returning from Wharton with my MBA, I expected a board seat. Instead, Ava, at 18, became the face of our Gen Z campaign, testing at 90% plus likability while I scored lower for seeming intimidating. I worked in shadows, fixing a disastrous influencer collaboration that nearly tanked our reputation with allergic reactions and bad press. Renegotiating supplier deals in Milan to prevent production halts. Even quietly covering my father's gambling debts from my personal trust to avoid scandal. All while Ava lounged in showrooms declaring herself the creative visionary, unable to read a basic profit and loss statement. My father had whispered promises late at night in his study. One day, Claire, you'll have your seat. You understand this business better than any of us. I believed him through years of denials, board openings given to golf buddies, wellness influencers, and finally Ava's husband, Liam, a former luxury car reviewer, handed the creative director role I'd earned over a decade. The final blow came months before the wedding when Liam joined leadership despite zero qualifications. Standing there abandoned on my wedding day, I realized peace with erasure was impossible. The oceanfront ballroom below hummed with preparations for 200 guests, unaware the bride's family had chosen Ava's birthday celebration in Cabo instead. My phone buzzed. Ava's Instagram story showed champagne toasts on the jet. My parents visible. Caption: whole family together for my golden birthday. So blessed. I smoothed my gown one last time. The French lace I'd chosen hoping for maternal approval. And felt the plates of patience crack. It was time to stop enduring and start claiming what was mine. The years of being overlooked hadn't prepared me for the finality of that moment. But looking back, the signs were always there, etched into every family gathering and boardroom slight. From the moment Ava entered our lives, I became the before picture in my mother's meticulously staged narrative. Claire's too serious, she'd confide to friends at the country club, watching me analyze reports while Ava practiced viral dance trends for pretend photo shoots. No lightness. No joy. I worry she'll never fit our world. What she meant was I didn't photograph well enough. My angular features and focused expression clashed with the carefree, marketable image Vanguard Luxe cultivated. High school solidified the divide. Ava thrived at a school where image management rivaled academics. I graduated top of my class at a competitive institution. My acceptance speech a quiet thank you to educators rather than family accolades. Mother fumed for weeks. By college, the pattern was ironclad. I pour myself into studies, interning at competitor firms to learn operations, while Ava built her personal brand with sponsored posts. Returning home with my MBA, excitement turned to disillusionment when I discovered Ava positioned as the fresh face, her likability scores justifying the decision. I adapted by becoming indispensable in the background. When Ava's debut fragrance line caused widespread skin reactions leading to recalls and potential lawsuits, I spent sleepless weeks reformulating, negotiating settlements, and rebuilding trust with retailers, all credited vaguely to the team. European suppliers nearly walked away over delayed payments. I flew to Milan, secured favorable terms, and salvaged the spring collection single-handedly. Father's hidden gambling debts threatened our flagship store. I liquidated personal assets quietly, protecting the empire without fanfare. Vanguard Luxe started as my grandmother's small boutique specializing in sustainable luxury apparel using ethically sourced fabrics. Father expanded it into a billion-dollar empire. But it was my operational genius that prevented collapse during economic dips. Yet publicly, Ava embodied the brand. Glamorous campaigns, Coachella appearances, collaborations with influencers. Liam, her husband, reviewed cars on YouTube before landing creative director, a role involving decisions he barely understood, like confusing gross margins with basic math. I thought I'd accepted my place, building a quiet life with Nathan. We met amid chaos when Ava's ambitious immersive installation in our Melrose flagship showroom, a massive crystalline sculpture, compromised structural integrity, nearly collapsing walls. The celebrity architect bailed, Nathan, a structural engineer turned architect known for impossible rescues,
stepped in.
In the gutted space, he assessed damage calmly. Your sister really pushed boundaries here. I corrected, half-sister reflexively, then opened up about the pressure of fixing everyone else's visions. Over months of site visits turning into coffees, lunches, and intimate dinners in hidden Alhambra spots, I fell for his honesty. Buildings didn't lie. He said no marketing could fix weak foundations. He saw me as the foundation, not the surface. His proposal came after hours in the rebuilt showroom, a custom necklace holding polished frosted glass from the table I'd shattered in teenage rage at yet another Ava announcement. Wear your broken pieces as strength, he said. I said yes, feeling truly seen for the first time. But the pre-wedding silence revealed the depth of my exile. Save the dates met with conflicts over Milan Fashion Week. Family group chats buzzed only about Ava's Cabo week-long event, private jets, Vogue photographers, infinity pool toasts. Attempts to discuss seating were dismissed. The night before, I discovered booked departure times clashing exactly with my ceremony.
Still,
I clung to fragile hope, preparing their favorite wines and dietary needs. In the honeymoon suite that night, after a reception with empty head table seats, Nathan slept while I couldn't. Instagram stories showed my family toasting in Cabo, Liam joking they'd dodged a snooze vest. I accessed the shareholder portal, 38% in my name, non-voting due to formalities. Buried in agreements was Clause 47C, emergency voting rights restoration for demonstrated malfeasance or brand damage by controllers. I had years of documentation, misattributed successes, covered scandals, Liam's undisclosed issues. Drafting the email to independent counsel at 2:17 a.m., attaching evidence from perfume recalls to tax irregularities, felt like crossing a Rubicon. By dawn, I'd outlined a manifesto of erased contributions. They wanted to erase me? I'd rewrite the narrative with the power I'd always held. The days immediately after sending that email passed in a haze of calculated calm in our apartment. Nathan supported quietly, reminding me we could build our own life. But I knew foundations built on erasure would always crack. Voicemails piled up, father's urgent pleas, mother's icy demands, Ava's confused complaints about ruining launch week. The investor email questioning attributions confirmed momentum. By Tuesday's emergency board meeting, tension crackled like live wire. I entered the Vanguard headquarters boardroom in a tailored black Armani suit, choosing the voting shareholder chair rather than my usual peripheral seat. Counsel Samantha sat beside me with thick document binders. Mother presided at the head, Botox masking little of her fury. Father hunched, whispering with attorneys. Ava looked disheveled, mascara smudged from rushed return. Liam's access had already been revoked. Nice of you to join, Claire, Mother said venomously. I opened with facts, the Q2 earnings crediting Ava for my Portugal negotiations.
Contracts,
emails, and flight logs proved my presence. Mother protested family sharing credit. I countered with 47 press releases erasing me, editing me from features. Samantha detailed over 200 misattributions costing millions in bonuses, plus potential fraud from misusing funds for vacations and undisclosed liabilities. What do you want? Mother finally snapped. I listed demands: immediate voting rights restoration, public corrections, COO title with commensurate compensation, suspension of Ava's ambassador role pending review. Refusal meant third-party audit and leaks to industry press about gambling debts and PR disasters. The room stilled at threats of exposure. You wouldn't destroy us, Father said hoarsely. I replied the business was strong. Thanks to me. Only the fantasy of Ava's genius was at risk. They had 24 hours. I left to shouts erupting behind me. Ava's small voice followed. Why now? I turned. Because on my wedding day, Mother called me practice, and I decided to show what I'd been practicing for. 23 hours later, contracts were signed in subdued silence. Father initialed first, avoiding my eyes. Mother signed angrily. Ava last, confused, asking if I'd still help with reports. I affirmed the new structure required learning. No reconciliation, just the click of pens and footsteps fading. Alone afterward in the boardroom overlooking the city, I reflected on invisible labor now visible. Nathan texted. I replied I was where I belonged. That evening at the Melrose showroom Nathan rebuilt. I touched fabrics I'd sourced, techniques I'd refined, updating my signature to Claire Langford, Chief Operating Officer. Vanguard Luxe felt like claiming my name. 6 months on. Stock rose 37%. Press called it the Vanguard Renaissance, crediting underutilized talent. I framed the article not for praise, but the word previously. The necklace from broken glass still rests at my throat. A reminder beautiful things emerge from shards. Somewhere in Cabo or back home, my family spins narratives. I focus forward. But sometimes I wonder, in families built on image, can love ever be more than performance? Or must the overlooked always seize the pen themselves? The confrontation didn't erase the ache entirely. Board meetings now included me as equal, but glances lingered with resentment. Ava struggled visibly with reports, asking hesitant questions. Liam's termination created ripple effects, lost social media reach. But operational stability improved under proper oversight. I implemented audits, corrected attributions publicly, and restructured incentives toward measurable results rather than flash. Nathan and I honeymooned late in Greece, walking ancient ruins where foundations endured centuries. He reminded me strength lies in honesty, like buildings. Our life together, quiet dinners, site visits, shared spreadsheets felt authentic, free from performance. Yet family dinners remained awkward. Mother hosted stiffly, her smiles never reaching her eyes. Father attempted reconciliation over whiskey, repeating old promises too late. Ava occasionally showed vulnerability, admitting the pressure of being the star. I offered guidance but boundaries. Learning required effort. The empire thrived. New sustainable lines launched successfully. European partnerships expanded. Waste reduced dramatically. Investors praised leadership shifts. Internally, I documented everything transparently, ensuring no future erasures. One quiet evening reviewing legacy documents, I found grandmother's original notes emphasizing integrity over image. It reinforced my path. The question lingers, when family trades truth for optics, who truly inherits the legacy? The one who builds it, or the one who photographs best? Months blurred into steady progress. Vanguard Luxe reported record quarters, crediting operational excellence and authentic storytelling over manufactured glamour. I mentored emerging talent, prioritizing competence. Nathan proposed expanding our home with structural innovations symbolizing our partnership. Family dynamics evolved slowly. Ava engaged more in operations. Mother softened marginally through necessity. Father admitted past weaknesses privately. Yet scars remained, trust rebuilt cautiously. Reflecting in the showroom one night, lights catching my glass necklace, I realized I'd never been practice. I'd always been the core. The moral echoes, families fracture under unequal weights. But reclaiming one's narrative demands courage to shatter illusions. Would you endure erasure forever? Or rewrite your chapter when the moment arrives?